and I'm here. I'm gonna photobomb myself in this here. I'm talking with Neal Adams, the legendary writer, comic book artist, writer, publisher,
Regis
Philbin, the whole shebang. It is May 2nd. We're at the Wizard Comics convention, and how are you enjoying the convention so far? It's the first day.
I always enjoy conventions. Always have a good time.
You do. You seem like you have a good time. How have the fans changed? Last time I saw you was 40 years ago.
Fans haven't changed. Everything's pretty much the same. It's just that we're taking over the world. So in taking over the world, we have to recognize that that the world has changed. The fans don't change. You have to understand that in 1953, Congress attacked comic books. They had,
Wortham.
I don't know, they flipped to another page in the dictionary and it was no longer communist, it was comic books. And they decided that comic books were destroying the youth of America and creating juvenile delinquency, and comic books fell into a dark age.
Right.
And we're now coming out of the dark ages. In Tokyo, in Japan, they didn't fall into a dark ages. In Europe, they chugged along happily. They did graphic novels and all kinds of stuff. In America, we did Mr. District Attorney and My Greatest Adventure and Sugar and Spike and Pat Boone comics, as I recall.
Did you ever do a Pat Boone comic?
I did not. I watched the comic books that Bob Oxner did, and they were very good. Bob Oxner did a great job. Unfortunately, they were Pat Boone comics. Not exactly creepy Uri and Vampirella.
Right. And you started off doing covers.
No.
Is that right? No?
I started off doing Archie Comics.
Okay. You're already lapping me here. Archie Comics. I have to wrap my head around that a little bit.
That's my first work out of high school.
Okay. Did you enjoy that? Who did you like better, Betty or Veronica?
Kidding. Betty and Veronica were the same girl with a different wig.
Really?
Didn't you know that?
I did not know that.
Very same lines.
I was young. What can I say?
No, all the lines were exactly the same on Betty as on Veronica, but she had different hair.
That's pretty bizarre.
No, I don't know. That's actually true in most comic books. Most girls look exactly the same as other girls, only their hair is different. Gwen Stacy looks exactly the same as the next girlfriend. They're just the same lipstick, the same eye makeup, the same noses, they look the same. Only male characters look different from one another. Unless there's a good artist involved, every once in a while you get a good artist like Alex Toth who can show the differences between one girl and another, and you can see the differences. But essentially
the same girl.
Comic book artists draw the same girl, same breasts, same hips, same waist.
So there's a standard.
No, it's not. I wouldn't call it a standard. I would just call it sloppy art.
Gotcha. But not quite so for the men.
No, men have to look different from one another. Even Superman and Batman have subtle differences. Peter Parker doesn't look anything like Tony Stark. No, boy artists have essentially taken over the comic book business, and they only draw male characters that look different from one another. They draw women as their ideals, and as their ideals, they look the same no matter who it is that they're drawing.
Okay, so
I mean, I hate to say that, I don't want to disappoint anybody, but that's the fact.
Well, you didn't draw that, did you? You drew a different one.
I would say I did it more than other people.
I remember you had one comic which was not in the comic code that was a man flying a naked woman, shooting down the women, and the denouement was a woman flying a naked man shooting him down.
No. No, that might have been done by somebody else. That was maybe Frank Sirocco, and I may have inked it.
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, I can't be responsible for the penciler. I've got nothing to do with that.
Okay. Well, which do you enjoy most, the inking or the penciling?
Either's fine.
Either's fine.
I mean, I obviously you're not in the catbird seat if you're inking. just inking somebody else, but as an exercise, I like to do it. Creatively, half the creativity is taken away if I don't pencil it. So I would have to say the answer to the question, literally, is I would rather pencil than ink, but I do enjoy inking. I have a great time.
Okay. You were known, when I was collecting comics, for your panels and for how you broke down time and how it was different. Like Will Eisner, you eventually won the Eisner Award. How the pacing of comics worked. After the Wortham era, it got kind of boring for a while.
Yeah, it got very boring. I mean, there's an awful lot of comics can be very boring, just like bad movies. I mean, when I came along, things were, I don't know, things were in the doldrums. There were most of the very best artists were gone. Alex Toth had gone to Hollywood. Al Williamson was doing fill-in stories for Johnny Prentice and other people. What's his name? Reed Crandall was working as a night watchman. Wally Wood was doing spot illustrations for science fiction magazines and doing these oddball jobs. What's his name? Davis was doing advertising. Jack Davis was doing advertising. So all these guys got scattered to the wind by the Comics Code. It's sort of like worse than the actor situation during the communist attacks, because only a small minority of people were affected by that. Those people they could supposedly prove are communists. In comic books, half the business got thrown down the hole, the rabbit hole. It was gone. And all these guys had to find something else to do, and very few people survived.
Right. My first term paper in college was about Seduction of the Innocent, where I took an Overstreet and just looked up all the comics that Wortham had referenced. And something like a quarter of the comics he referenced that did not exist. And I was very lenient on the titles and gave him as much leeway as I could possibly do. So he was just making stuff up.
He clearly was an awful person, and it shows you what can happen in a free and democratic country where our freedoms are attacked, and there's no one there to battle against it. It can be terrible, and it was a terrible time. The same thing happened with the so-called communists in America. It's terrible. I mean, human beings, we really are stupid creatures. I mean, I don't think anybody's won any bets based on defending the intelligence of human beings.
In 5 minutes.
Do you see that happening now? I mean, even more than 15 years ago?
People don't get smarter, they just get richer.
I see. Well, you went from Archie Comics to what? What did you do next?
Comics and advertising. I did advertising comic books for a place called Johnston and Cushing. I made more money than regular comic book artists doing regular comic books because advertising paid more money. And so where I was doing making $200 a page, while comic book artists were making $100 a page.
Hi, Neil.
Hi, kiddo.
Usually see you in Comic-Con in San Diego, but
I'm kind of doing an interview.
Okay, I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay.
What was your favorite while you were doing it? I mentioned that I go back to the 70s when I was in high school.
Okay.
This is the only thing I could find with Unit, because I sold my comics a long time ago. That's made a great impression on me.
Good. It was intended to be.
Good.
A great impression on you.
And
you'll probably notice that I'm probably the only guy in comics in those days who could draw a black person.
Who looked like a black person.
Who looked like a black person.
Right. And that's weird. Let's reverse. Well, we'll see what happens. And how important was it to you to be socially conscious?
Wasn't that important. I really didn't care. I mean, it just seemed to me that was what you were supposed to do. And when the impact of bigotry finally came home to us in America, and how, you know, in spite of the fact that we didn't have slavery and there was an intent on the part of the government to preach equality, they had failed, and now it was up to the people to do something about it. And so I was just one of the people. I did whatever I could, and I guess I hoped everybody else did whatever they could, and hopefully by everybody's effort we made a change in America, and I think we did, and I think we're seeing it now. And I hope that it doesn't go backwards. It's possible. It's always possible to go backwards because we are, as I said, a fairly stupid creature. I mean, we can forget what we've learned from one generation to the next if we don't teach ourselves. Yeah, no,
right.
We're just stupid. We don't have a hive mind, you know, where we remember things from generation to generation. We're individually we're a dumbass bunch of creatures.
We barely remember more than 140 characters.
Yeah. We barely remember the lessons that are taught to us by our fathers.
Right.
I mean, I listen to old radio.
Right.
And if you could listen to some of this stuff and see how America pulled together during World War II, and how they saved tires and they saved their cooking fat into cans and turned it into the government to make armaments, and they worked together in every possible way, and that the media was part of it, the radio was part of it, every part of the media, including newspapers, were part of the social change. If we could see that now, it would be shocking and amazing to everybody. Imagine if America and the free world made a real effort to make changes in Africa, to report on all the bad things that are going on, and to really make changes in Africa. How quickly Africa could come out of some of the horrors that are happening there. I mean, we would never do that because we're too damn lazy and we don't have a national purpose.
The show floor is now closed.
And because we don't have a national purpose, we don't make these gigantic efforts. But in World War II, there was a possibility of losing our freedom, and suddenly, whoa, now we got to stop it. I don't see that happening now.
No. If you were to pick one issue that we should do today, that you, as a comic artist, as a person, as whatever influence you have, that you could say, okay, this is what we need to focus on and try and engage the public, what would it be?
Well, we can produce all the power that we need to produce with hydrogen and oxygen.
Right?
Hydrogen and oxygen. Girls, it's a pleasure. See you tomorrow?
See you tomorrow. Thank you very much.
Okay, it's a pleasure.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
See you tomorrow?
To do this. Yes, definitely.
Okay, guys, solid. Thank you. Thank you so much. See ya. So you can clean up all the fuel. You can clean up all the fuel in planes. You can clean up all the fuel in trucks. You can convert to hydrogen power. And you can practically do it overnight. And the reason we don't do it is there are a given number of rich people who want to stay rich. And that is all it's about. So if we had a national agenda to clean up our air, our fuel problems by using hydrogen power, we could do it. And we can't do it because there are a given number of rich people in the world who refuse to release that and will kill us rather than let us be free of oil.
Wow.
Will kill us.
They will.
Well, I'm listening to the radio, and it's back in the 40s, and nearly every radio show was sponsored by cigarette companies.
Right.
Well, cigarette companies killed more people in World War II than were shot. More people than were shot were killed by cigarettes and cigarette-related stuff. When you were a kid, you used to go to movies and you would watch movie stars. Well, you watch in the magazines, you'd see people in the ads advertising cigarettes. Yul Brynner, John Wayne, all these other people. Then when you go to the movie theater, you go to the movies, you'd see the same famous stars would appear, and they would gather and they would ask for money to be donated for the Will Rogers Institute. Right?
Right.
The Will Rogers Institute treated emphysema.
Mm-hmm.
Emphysema is what you get from smoking cigarettes.
That's right.
That's what the Will Rogers Institute treated. 100%.
Mm-hmm.
100%. Emphysema and lung-related diseases, cancers, okay? So the same people that were asking you for money for the Will Rogers Institute were advertising in magazines and commercials for you to smoke cigarettes. And those same people died from smoking. John Wayne, Yul Brynner, all those people, Jack Webb, all those people died from smoking.
Do you think they felt bad about it? Or did they
didn't understand. That's the problem with us now. We're burning fuel. We're burning oil when we can use oxygen and hydrogen. If you put oxygen and hydrogen together after separating them, when they join, they will release electrons. Electrons can be gathered and fed into batteries and fuel your car. It can happen right in your car. It can happen right in your car. I put it in Batman Odyssey. Batman was drinking water from the exhaust of a car. Okay? I did that to wake people up. Are they going to be woken up? No, because people are stupid. I'm just saying, I'm stupid just like everybody else, but we are a stupid creature. We just don't get it. And we have to save this atmosphere.
And so how can we do that?
I mean, it takes hydrogen fuel, I just told you.
Well, I mean, but how do we get people to accept hydrogen fuel?
Beats me. I tried a little bit in Batman Odyssey. I'll keep trying. I keep plugging away, but it ain't easy. It ain't easy.
Okay, well, I confess this is a bit heavier than I thought it was going to be at a comic convention.
Shit
but
happens, right?
It does. You're Neal Adams, and I want to talk to about whatever you want to talk about.
Well, you're walking in dangerous grounds, and you can never tell when it's going to give way under you.
Well, I thank Neal Adams very much. Is there any last words that you want to say?
No, I'm fine.
Okay, great. Well, once again, thank you very much.
It's a
Neal
pleasure.
Adams.